The Taming of Coyote, Chapter 22. "Coyote, is this right?" Sonia asked as she awkwardly held a bow in her hands. A target had been set against a tree. As peaceful as Sonia was, she wanted to learn to hunt. She wanted to learn to clean a kill, and she wanted to learn how to start a fire. She didn't have the survival skills, which is how she ended up at Coyote's mercy to begin with. Now she was determined to be able to take care of herself. Cleaning a kill and starting a fire were relatively easy things for her to learn. The hunting part, well, that would take some time. "You're a bit wobbly, Sonia," he replied. He came behind her and took hold of her arms to guide her into the proper position. "It takes some time to master. By spring, you'll be able to try it for real." Sonia sucked in a breath. Well, he still smelled dusty, but she always got that butterfly feeling when he touched her in this form of his. Infatuation hit hard, didn't it? She pulled the string taut as he helped her line the arrow to the target. Patience. Patience. Take your time. You don't have to rush if you're not intending to use your archery skills in battle. Line it up. Picture the arrow hitting the target. And release. Thoing. She released. She accomplished the task of hitting the target, but not the center. Sonia wasn't sure if she should be proud or angry. She didn't hit the center, but she did hit the target. Thoughts of that quickly subsided as she let out a cry, dropped the bow and quiver, and began to fuss over a burning welt on her inner forearm. Coyote showed no sympathy. In fact, he laughed. "Coyote, that hurt!" Ezra zipped past them to examine the target. He had hoped to retrieve a kill for her. After a few sniffs, he let out an annoyed sneeze. This wasn't flesh at all. Coyote took hold of Sonia's arm and examined it. "You're supposed to wear a guard, Sonia." "You didn't tell me that," she argued. "I thought you knew," he chuckled. Not bad for her first try. "I'll go hungry if I keep shooting like that," she sighed. "Give it time," he encouraged. "You just need practice is all. Trust me, I won't let you go hungry." It feels strange, learning to kill something. The world is made up of prey and predator, the hunted and the hunter, Coyote explained. That is just the law of nature. Predators eat prey or they die. Sonia frowned. That sort of reminds me of a female coyote our lumberjacks killed. Her pups must have waited and waited and waited. They probably died waiting. Female with pups? Coyote backtracked in his mind. It was months ago after all. But Turn rarely got a kill, so he was soon able to recall her. Ah, yes. She had 3. When she did not return to them, word quickly spread as to why. You needn't worry about them. I personally led the raid to compensate them. There are advantages to living in a pack. "They're alive?" Sonia gasped. "Alive and well," he replied. "The coyotes of these woods are very cooperative." "It seems strange," she admitted. "How so?" "They interact much like people in a lot of ways. It's amazing to learn that coyotes sport such intelligence." "Most predators are intelligent," Coyote stated, "but these coyotes are special. They are all my descendants. Even your Ezra. For every one, I am placed somewhere on their family tree. To some, I'm extremely far back. To some, I'm as closely related to them as a father. These aren't some ordinary beasts, but creatures of the enchanted woods." "That's amazing, Coyote!" "Yes, family is an interesting thing." Sonia paused. The question had popped into her head, but somehow she felt that asking it would be inappropriate and painful. The time wasn't right. I want to go for a walk, Coyote." To that, he smiled. "That sounds good. You stay around this house far too much. There's a big, huge world out there. It pays to see some of it." As if to agree, Ezra let out a bark. The ground crunched beneath their feet as they tread slowly over melted snow. Ezra raced around and around, as well as back and forth. He was an endless bundle of energy. Coyote walked more at Sonia's pace, truly as her companion. The silence between them allowed for twittering birds to be heard. Slowly, the world was awakening. Spring would be coming soon. Right now, the crisp smell of what remained of winter burned the nose. Soon it would give way to blossoms, grass, and fresh foliage. Even now it was so peaceful. Sonia felt absolute comfort. Coyote would never let anything happen to her, nor Ezra. Boldly, and blush in her cheeks, Sonia reached over and took Coyote's hand. He glanced over with minimal surprise. Perhaps he already knew that she had wanted to do it for quite some time. However, he said nothing and offered her a soft and thoughtful smile. He was no fool. He knew very well what was going on in that little head of hers. It was a flattering notion, but not one to seriously toy with now. Perhaps someday. In a few years it would. But even so, he gave her hand a gentle squeeze. It was nice to be the object of someone's affection. He rather missed it. He rather liked it. "It is so beautiful out here," Sonia finally said. "I almost never want to go home. It's like it casts a spell on me." "Yes, it sure can seem like that. There is a magic about nature, in the metaphorical sense. It even has me bound from time to time. Everything is so simple, so honest, so pure. It reminds me that, even among evil people, there is an innocence ready to be embraced, and to embrace." Sonia's eyes fell on the rambunctious Ezra. He was a real clown, that little coyote. He grabbed a big stick and tossed it into the air. He would duly make chase, fetch, and sling it once again. It was quite an entertaining thing to watch. "The grass is starting to grow fresh and green," she said suddenly. "Yes," Coyote replied. "Out in the fields and villages, the snow has probably long since melted. Direct sunlight and all that. The temperature is always cooler in the woods." He knelt down and began to change shape. In moments, he was the great red coyote with the black stripes. "How about a ride, Sonia? There's something that I would like to show you." Sonia thought about it a moment. It had been a while since she had ridden on Coyote's back. On top of that, he had said that he had something to show her. The ride was a pleasant one. It was also quite long. Sonia had not been to this part of the woods. She appreciated a change in scenery. Ezra, too, seemed quite pleased with this outing. He galloped about at random, without method, in circles about the pair. Coyote maintained a well-paced trot, and seemed to glide over the ground. When Coyote slowed his pace, Sonia prepared for what was inevitably said. "You can slide off now." And she did without question. Ezra sat beside her and wagged his tail as Coyote sniffed about. He soon found the spot he was looking for and began to dig. He scraped away the thin layer of snow. He flicked an ear as something fluttered by. "Coyote!" Sonia gasped in a giddy tone. "Look! More pixies!" He lifted his head a moment. Pale peach and brown pixies with green hair flew like mosquitoes. They explored everything curiously, with tiny giggles. They have woken up from their long hibernation. These are woodland pixies. When the cold weather sets in, they hide, and they sleep the winter away. Spring is certainly nearby for them to be frolicking and flittering about now. "They're so beautiful," she breathed. Coyote said nothing as he continued to scratch at the snow. Sonia continued to watch the pixies in awe. Even Ezra seemed curiously interested in them. They continued their flittering dance about and among the branches that seemed to reach out to touch them. "I knew this was the spot." Sonia snapped back into reality at the sound of Coyote's voice. He was sitting now. She approached him and followed his gaze. There, peeking up from the ground, was carved markers of stone. They weren't professional. In fact, they seemed rather primitive, but it was obvious that they had been made with great care. Are these Graves? Sonia asked. Ezra cowered with a whimper. They are, Coyote replied. This is where they belong. Sonia knew both of the names. On the left was Avery Turn, and on the right was Lorraine. No surname was given. In her maiden days she had been a Turn, but as Coyote's wife it would seem that he had no surname to be taken by her. Out here seemed right. With Turn's current society, both of these very important people, both of which were her ancestors and deemed a sorcerer and a witch, wouldn't be welcome to their cemetery. It had been 5 years since I took Lorraine as my wife.